Folks, welcome to the 2025 Shelby County Fair Goat Show.
Where are
Entering
you?
the arena now is the Clover Kid class. We would like to thank our judge, Philip Dottie, who is coming to us from Maryville, Missouri, where he still raises a lot of sheep and still is very active in the show circuit down there. And if we could have at the gate our dairy goats, starting with the dairy weathers, followed up by the junior kids, 4 months and under.
First off, I want to thank you guys for having me back again this year. And the weather this year is definitely a lot better than it was last time in terms of temperature and things. And we're definitely going to have a great time as we get started here in our goat division with our Clover kids. We had a good time talking to some of these kids. I learned a lot about their projects, some more than others, and learned a little bit about family history in a couple of instances. and we even learned maybe how many goats we have at home and things like that. Let's give these big kids a big round of applause. This is the future of this deal. They're doing a great job.
All right, well, thank you for those wonderful exhibitors. Clover kids are always nice to see out in the arena. Coming in next, we are starting in on the dairy portion of the show. And coming in next is the dairy weather, shown by Carissa Good.
Just a single entry here with our dairy weather division, and one that definitely has the structural correctness. The young lady said his name's Outcast just because he is a little bit different from what we got going on, but a very nice project for the young lady. Let's give her a big round of applause.
And thank you for Carissa Good showing her dairy weather. She's receiving a blue ribbon today. Entering the arena now is junior kids under 4 months. And that's shown by Carly Schmidt. Please have on deck your senior yearlings, 12 months and under 24 months.
A single entry here in our youngest doe division. One that you like a lot of things about in terms of structural correctness. I like how sharp her top line is. I like the angle to her hip and how she handles her shoulder. If I was going to be critical, I'd like to open her up in her forearm and give her a little more rib capacity, but that's going to come with some age and maturity. A very nice project for the young lady. Let's give her a round of applause as she exits the ring.
And your winner today in your junior kids under 4 months is Carly Schmidt, and she's receiving a blue ribbon. Now entering the arena is senior yearlings. And I show 2 entries. Please have ready your does 2 years and under.
2 entries in this class, and I think there's a give and take in both of these females. I think there's parts and pieces that you like about both of them. The one I'm going to go ahead and lead the length off to start off with is a young lady here with the dapple hiding one. I think this one just adds a little more extension and front end design. I like where her neck set is in terms of how it comes out of the top of her head carriage. When she gets out and moves, she's really elegant about her front end. I would like to go ahead and maybe just make her a little bit different out of her rear end, just ever so slightly. I think she wants to slope off ever so slightly in terms of being ideal. I'd like to see her sharper in her top line, but you'd love the extra length, the extra height, the extra frame, just things like that. Just make her a little more feminine up to her front 1/3. The young man brings us one here that I think has the advantage in terms of rib capacity. I think this one definitely is bigger about her forerib, carries into her upper rib cage and things of that nature. I just like to go ahead and lengthen her out, give her a little more height the shoulder and have her neck come out of the top side of the blade. Go ahead and compete with the one, but I think you can flip those either way. A very nice pair of goats for the young individuals. Let's give them a big round of applause.
All right, thank you to Carly Schmidt with a double entry in that class. So she takes first and second place. Congratulations. Next up is those 2 years and under. And once again, Carly Schmidt is in the ring.
Good entry here with the freshened dough that the young lady brings out. One I like a lot of things about, especially in terms of her udder, and you get back and you analyze it. I love her attachment, I love her teeth placement, I love her teeth design. If you're going to be critical, maybe she gets a little weak behind her shoulder, ever so slightly, but she's sharp about her top line, she's good in her structure. She does carry her neck set where ideal for me. It attaches high about her blade. She's sound on her feet and legs. A very, very nice project for the young lady. It looks like she's doing her job. Let's give her a big round of applause.
And congratulations to the first place in that class goes to Carly Schmidt. Next up, entering the arena is those under 5 years. And it's a double entry with Carly Schmidt. So please have on deck your 5 years and over does. Just a little housekeeping. I was just informed that we do not have a representative from the newspaper to take photos of grand champions. So if you do get a photo of a grand champion, please send it to the wonderful Jennifer Selmer.
said it earlier with the other double entry we had. I think this is a very, very close pair. They're very similar in their type and kind, with a few minute differences that's going to kind of split it for me today. To me, I'm going to go ahead and lead off with the one the young man is showing. I think this one has just a little bit more udder capacity, a little neater about her head carries and the way she attaches up high. I will tell you that I do like her suppository ligament in terms of its attachment. I think it's a little stronger when you get in behind it. Maybe it just doesn't have quite the rib cage that the one that's going to come in second, but I think her elegance, therefore with her udder quality, go ahead and just maybe slightly edge out the one that's going to come in second. The young lady that's going to come in second, you do like a lot of things about her in terms of her center body, her rib capacity. I would like to lengthen her out, maybe make her neck come out of the top side of her blade ever so slightly, but she has a good udder quality. It's very nice in terms of you get in behind it. She's wide based. Very nice pair for the young individuals. Let's give them a big round of applause.
All right, congratulations to Carly Schmidt for winning first and second place in the does under 5 years. Now entering the arena is 5 years and over, and that too is Carly Schmidt. And then at the conclusion of this class, we are also going to crown the Grand Champion Dairy Goat and Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Goat.
In terms of a dairy female, I'm a big fan of this one. I think that she's a little older in her age, but she carries it so elegantly. She's smooth in her transitions. She's tall about her withers. She's got a huge udder capacity underneath of her. She still is not broke down in her udder design and things. She's structurally really correct on her feet and legs and gets out motors really good. A very, very nice one for the young lady. Let's give her a big round of applause.
And congratulations to Carly Schmidt for winning the 5 years and over doe. Now if we could have all the first place out of this division come back into the arena. So we can select the Grand Champion Dairy Goat and Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Goat.
Out here for our champion dairy female. I think there's one out here that really hits me hard in terms of having the smoothness and the structural correctness, still being huge in her udder capacity. I know some of these we kind of project some future in them, but to me the easiest thing to do is see the ones that are already doing their job. Definitely have the elegance about their front end and design. Definitely have the udder capacity. The one that's going to go ahead and be champion in this particular division is this one right here. Let's give this young lady a big round of applause. Again, we get back out here for reserve. The one that was saying in that class, take nothing away. I think there was a lot of parts and pieces. I do love her under capacity. There's another one out here that I think is still very good in terms of how she's made. She's structurally correct. She's tall-shouldered. I do think she's doing her job in terms of her under capacity, her attachments and things. The one out of the oldest division will be our reserve. Let's give her a big round of applause.
And a congratulations to the Grand Champion Dairy Goat goes to Carly Schmidt. And the Reserve Grand Champion Dairy Goat goes to Carly Schmidt. So congratulations. Now entering the arena is the Orientement. This is 4 to 8 months.
division, we definitely, two very nice parts and pieces. Here's one that just definitely has a better hair coat, definitely has more presence when it gets out and moves, which in terms is ornamental or the show appearance, that's kind of what we're looking for. The young lady up front is going to win this particular division. I think that was hair coach right. This one's in the middle of kind of shedding and being in that position. Let's give both these kids a big round of applause. Nice job out here with this division.
And congratulations to Ellie Hansen for winning the Grand Champion Ornamental Goat. And congratulations to Ty Hansen for getting Reserve Grand Champion Ornamental Goat. Now entering the arena is the Breeding Meat Goat. And handing out those beautiful banners was our first runner-up, Carly Courtney from the Shelby County Fair Queen. Please have at the gate your junior yearlings under 12 months.
Here in our first division of does that definitely there's none of these three that are alike, and I think there's parts and pieces of each of these that you could definitely tie into, and it just depending on your type and kind. The young lady we're going to lead off with definitely has the pounds disadvantage of the class. She's definitely the smallest in terms of how she's made, frame-wise as well as just immaturity. But I really like that when you get out and analyze it from the side. I love where her shoulder is. I love how wide and pulled apart she is on the underside of her carriage. She carries it up to the top side of her blade. I'd like to lengthen her out a little bit, just in terms of flank to flank, to go ahead and make her ideal for me. But that's one, in my opinion, just a more logical place to lead off this class. The one that causes me the problems in this class is the one I do like a lot better from the side in terms of length of spine. I like this black-headed dude quite a bit. She's elegant about her front end. You would like her when she gets out and prances. She's fighting the young lady, kind of makes you want to get a little easy her top. You want to maybe just go ahead and stout her up. The biggest disadvantage she has to the one right ahead, or goes ahead and moves out of the class. I just like to open this one up from end to end in relationship with the one right ahead of it. But a very nice female that you can read a lot of ways and do some good things. The one that rounds out the class definitely has the advantage in terms of size and structure. I just like to go ahead and lengthen out her hip. She wants to get short out of her hip. She wants to take a shorter stride off of her rear too. Just go ahead and make her just get out and move a little easier. But a nice class of 3 would give those kids a big round of applause.
And congratulations to Paisley Hansen, getting first place in a purple ribbon. Second place goes to Clara Schmitz, receiving a blue, and third place goes to Katie Schmitz, also getting a blue. And we are very blessed to have the 2025 Shelby County Fair Queen, Brooklyn Buck, handing out these beautiful ribbons. Now entering the arena is junior yearlings under 12 months. I show 2 entries. And please have on deck your senior yearlings to 24 months.
Class is another very nice one, and we lead off with one that I think wins this class, and it'll be fun to kind of see when it gets back out here. I love a lot of things. The basic building checks all the boxes. It's furry at the ground, heavy structured. She's elegant about her chest floor. She's big hips. She's got a big old top in her. She's wide about her base in terms of her rib cage. I mean, she's has a little more cover maybe than ideal at this point. But I think that was really, really good in terms of just checking all the boxes and having the bells and whistles to go with it. The young lady that brings this one out second, one we like a lot about her elegance, about her neck and head carriage. She still reads very immature and young in terms of the one. She just has to get quite the maturity when you read her versus the one right ahead of it. But a very nice project. She's sound as she gets out and moves. She's fighting the layup lady a little bit, but let's give her a big round of applause.
And congratulations to your class winner, Reese Anderson. She receives a purple ribbon. And the second place goes to Braylon Yoakum, receiving a blue ribbon. Now entering the arena is senior yearlings, 12 months to 24 months, and I show 2 entries. At the conclusion of this class, we'll be moving into selecting our Grand Champion Breeding Meat Goat and Reserve Grand Champion Breeding Meat Goat.
easily our closest pair of the day. I think these two are very similar in their type and kind. There's a couple minute differences that I see as I observe them. The young lady in the black shirt that we're going to go ahead and lead off with, that's just more opened up female, probably more my speed in terms of how she gets out in motors. She's opened up the ground. She carries her base width up to the top side of her rib cage. I love how her shoulder and head carriage are. I would like to see her with the added length of side as the one that's going to come in second, but a very nice project for the young lady. The young lady that's going to come in second, as I said, does have the advantage in terms of length of spine. She is probably a little cleaner about her chest form, but it's just she's not as opened up. She's not as stout at the ground. She doesn't have as much base width. It doesn't carry that mass all the way to the top side of her skeleton as the one that we went ahead and led off this class with. But a very nice female nonetheless. Let's give both of those exhibitors a big round of applause.
And congratulations on your class winner is Paisley Hansen, and she receives a purple ribbon. And second place goes to Paisley Hansen, receiving a blue ribbon.
Our champion female drive, we definitely had small numbers, but I think the quality is very good in terms of checking a lot of the boxes. They're sound, functional livestock that still can produce at the next generation in terms of making their offspring better. I do like my females to be elegant about their front ends, still have some width and capacity. They still are trying to make some market animals on the backside, so they still have to have some muscle or some muscle indicators. And for me, there's one out here that definitely excels this particular group. I think it gets a little closer for reserve. But we're going to go out and select our champion in reserve. Let's give all these kids a round of applause, the ones that didn't get to make it back on a nice go show.
Congratulations to Reese Anderson for winning Grand Champion Breeding Meat Goat. And she will be our representative for the Best of the West shootout. And Reserve Grand Champion goes to Paisley Hansen. And so Reese Anderson will be the Shelby County breeding meat goat for the Best of the West shootout, which is a show that happens up in Denison in about 2 or 3 weeks. There's 9 different counties that go in on this, and the grand champions from each county go up to Denison and have a big shootout. So congratulations to Reese. And now we'll be moving into the market goats. Coming into the arena should be lightweights. I show Braylee Yoakum, Clara Schmitz, and Reese Anderson. And we We'd also like to say thank you to Brooklyn Buck for handing out today's ribbons and Grand Champion posters. Apparently she has a prettier face than Larry. And also returning from the Rabbit Show is Harlan Coordinate, the first runner-up to hand out ribbons with us. And just as a reminder, we do not have a representative from the newspaper to take Grand Champion pictures, so if you do get one, please send a picture to Jennifer Selmer.
What an impressive way to go ahead and lead off our market division. This one that leads off this class just checks a lot of boxes for me. I love how elegant he is about his front end. Still cracked open. That is one round-bodied, square-hip dude. Carries it all the way to the ground. I'm a big fan of that one that goes ahead and leads off this particular class. I think the sort becomes between second and third in this particular division. Two different little bit types and kinds in terms of where they're at in their maturity and where they are in progressing them out through the fourth. The young lady we went ahead and led off with and brings us one that's a little longer sided, maybe a little taller shoulder. The biggest advantage I think that one has is just fresher about its top side shape in terms of when you get your hands on it. I would like to just see this one down the road, maybe mature, open up and get it a little bit more massive. The young lady that comes in third has one that has more potential in terms of when you look at it in terms of base width and the muscle indicators. I'd like to just freshen this one up about its top side of its skeleton. I'd like to go ahead and just lengthen that one out. But a very nice project to go ahead and be third in this particular class. Let's give all those kids a big round of applause.
And congratulations to your Grand Champion Lightweight Market Goat goes to Reese Anderson. And your Reserve Grand Champion Lightweight Market Goat goes to Clara Schmitz. And third place in this class goes to Braylee Yoakum. Now entering the arena is Middleweight Market Goats. I show Reese Anderson, Matthew Hansen, Caitlin Hansen, and Olivia Kelly. And we'd also like to say thank you to our judge for sorting this goat show for us. This is Philip Dottie. He's coming to us from Maryville, Missouri, where he still runs a sheep operation.
I like these two at the top of this particular class quite a bit. I think they're different types and kinds. The young lady we're going to lead off with here in the red shirt, I think has one that's just a little stouter, a little more to hit the ground for sure. We can see that. For as bold and chested as this thing is, I love how his shoulder lays in at the point. Just real smooth about his angles and transitions. Where I get hung up on this guy a little bit is he wants to deviate the spine ever so slightly. He wants to get up in his top line, and he just doesn't want to really just get out and motor. But that is one big feature. Cool-chested one to go ahead and lead off this particular class in this particular market division right now. The one I'm getting a hard time getting a read on in this particular class is this young lady comes in second. I love the added structural integrity this one has. This one does get out and motor, and I do like him in his top line and his deviation whenever you start studying him from his rack all the way back. He just gets a little light in his shorts today. I'm telling you, in terms of maturity, I think this one's just going to get nothing but better. I love the parts and pieces. He's a little hard to get a read on. He's not cooperating with the young lady, but a very nice top pair. Let's give those kids a big round of applause. Not to take anything away from the young lady in third. I think this one is a very kind of meat and potatoes type of deal. I love how it opened up he is from end to end. He just doesn't have the feature to go ahead and compare with the one above him. Or the class winner, and I just don't think he just has an elegance about the ring presence as the one right ahead of him. The young man is going to round out this particular class, brings us one that's long-sided, big, tall shoulder. Just like to go ahead and open him up, give him a little more pizzazz when you get out and look at him. They're a very nice class for our middleweight division. Let's give all those kids a big round of applause.
Congratulations to Olivia Kelly, winning Grand Champion Middleweight Market Goat. Reserve Grand Champion Middleweight Market Goat goes to Reese Anderson. Third place goes to Caitlin Hansen. And fourth place goes to Matthew Hansen. Now entering the arena is heavyweight market goats. And I show Katie Schmitz, Caitlin Hansen, and Paisley Hansen. At the conclusion of this class, we will have our Grand Champion Market Goat and Reserve Grand Champion Overall Market Goat.
I think this class is sorts a little easier for me. I think there's a logical place to start. I think you can start kind of maybe talking a little bit between second and third. But the one that kind of checks the most boxes for me, probably has the most fault-free type of individual, is the young lady that's going to go ahead and lead off this class. He is big back, big hip. I like those things about him. I'd like to scout him up at the ground ever so slightly, but it's very nice of him to go ahead and lead off this particular class. The young lady that comes in second has the advantage in terms of fur at the ground. I don't know if he has any more true structure, but he definitely gives the appearance of it. I like how bold-chested this one is in relationship to the one right behind it. I just like to soften him in his top, give him a little bit more shallowness about his breastplate whenever you get back and analyze it. The one that definitely checks a lot of boxes has the width and power to go ahead and follow our class winner. The one that comes in third has the added advantage in shallowness of chest, but with that also doesn't have the near openness or round rib cage is the one that goes ahead and was right ahead of it. Very nice in terms of its feet and legs. You like those things about it. Just like to go ahead and give it the topside dimension that the other two had. Again, as always, let's give those kids a big round of applause.
And congratulations goes to Caitlin Hansen for winning Grand Champion Heavyweight Market Goat. Reserve Grand Champion Heavyweight Market Goat goes to Paisley Hansen. And now entering the arena is the Grand Champion Overall Drive Market Goat. And the winner of this class will also represent Shelby County in the Market Goat at the Best of the West show in Denison. Again, that is a show put on by 9 different counties that surround us. It's up in Denison and it's in like 3 weeks.
Get out here for our market division. I'm very proud. In terms of numbers, we didn't have a lot, but there definitely is some quality out here in the ring. We definitely found some class winners that checks the boxes. Maybe some of those just in the second hole just didn't quite have the same parts and pieces, and then there's a couple back there that still do in terms of that. But with that being said, I think there's one out here that's just absolutely smoke shows this complete show. I think there's one out here, it's build, it's round rib cage, it's feature, it's foot, it gets out and moves. It's very, very impressive whenever you get to looking at it. From there, I think the reserve gets a little bit closer, but I think there's one that probably just suits me a little bit better in terms of falling into that reserve hole and type and kind. Let's go ahead and congratulate these kids. The young lady on the first play will be our and the one on the middle will be our reserve.
Congratulations to the Grand Champion Overall Market Goat goes to Reese Anderson, and Reserve Grand Champion Overall Market goes to Olivia Kelly. And Reese Anderson moves on to represent Shelby County in the Best of the West. So congratulations.
We'll go ahead and announce the top 5 rate of gain real quick. Champion rate of gain went to Paisley Hansen with a .58. Reserve is Katie Smits with .57, barely reserve. Claire Smits with .51, tie with Caitlin Hansen with .51, and Caitlin Hansen rounds out the top 5 with .34.
Now entering the arena is Senior Goat Showmanship. And I'm showing 3 entries. In the arena is Caitlin Hansen, Katie Schmitz, and Ellie Hansen. And in these classes, it's called showmanship, so the judge is judging on how the handler handles their goat.
As we wind down the goat show, we're getting here closer to the end, and showmanship is one of those things that, as a parent, it frustrates you to try to help your kid because parents generally don't know as much as some random stranger off the street. And also, I like to sort livestock and give you my opinion on livestock. I think any kid that does this project, it's a great thing in terms of where they're at in this industry and the things that they could be doing with their lives. We only get to select two, so the third one's out in this particular division, but I think all three of these young ladies have done a really nice job all day. With that being said, I think there's one out here that just probably has my more type and kind in terms of how they get after it. Maybe their animals, none of these have really cooperated a whole bunch all today, but the young lady up front is going to be our champion. The young lady in the middle will be our reserve. The young lady, you do a nice job, but they're going to be third in this particular division.
Congratulations to Caitlin Hansen on winning your Champion Senior Goat Showman. Reserve Champion Senior Goat Showman goes to Katie Schmitz. Now entering the arena would be the Intermediate Showmanship. In the arena, your intermediate showmanship is Matthew Hansen, Ty Hansen, and Clara Schmitz. And we'd like to give a big thank you to our Shelby County Fair Queen, Brooklyn Buck, and our first runner-up, Carly Tornaton. They have been handing out ribbons all morning. If you guys could just wave your hand and say hi.
Again, we get out here in our intermediate division, or whatever we call this in terms of middle-aged exhibitors in showmanship, and I think that there's three individuals that definitely have their goals in the right spot. I think there's one that maybe just does it a little bit smoother in terms of where they're at right now. I think there's some work to be done on all three exhibitors' parts, but there's definitely some differences in preference in terms of how they are exhibited. For me, the young lady up front is going to be our champion, the young man at the back will be our reserve, and the young man in the middle will round us out. Let's give these kids a big round of applause.
And congratulations goes to Clara Schmitz for winning champion intermediate showman, and the reserve champion showman goes to Matthew Hansen. Now entering the arena is junior showmanship. I show 4 entries. In the arena showing the junior showmanship is Paisley Hansen, Carly Schmidt, Olivia Kelly, and Braylon Yoakum.
Get out here in the junior division of our showmanship, and I can say without hesitation that this is by far the closest placing that I've seen today in terms of where these exhibitors are. Whether we were talking back through the dairy show, the breeding show, the market show, I think there's a couple individuals out here that do a very, very nice job. Maybe there's one that just gets a little bit more cooperation today in terms of how that animal's going. And not just in showmanship, we've kind of watched this throughout the day and how they went through. We haven't had a big enough show that I cannot remember all the way back through. I think all 4 of these individuals do a nice job. For me, the one that's going to win this particular division is the young lady at the back with the black shirt, followed by the young lady with the red for reserve.
And congratulations to your champion junior showman goes to Paisley Hansen. Reserve champion showman goes to Olivia Kelly. Now we'll be moving into the overall grand champion showman. So the winner of the senior division, Caitlin Hansen. The reserve senior champion, Katie Schmitz. Following her is her little sister, Clara Schmitz, coming out of the intermediate class. Matthew Hansen, reserve intermediate showman. Your junior showman was Paisley Hansen, and rounding out the class would be Olivia Kelly.
As we round out our goat show, I just want to again thank the committee for having me up again this year. I know we still have a sheep show, and some of you get to hear me later, but some of you won't. I just want to reiterate that my family and I do this pretty hardcore. I think this project is second to none. Agricultural kids work hard. It teaches responsibility. It teaches us the basic values and things, and just even hard work, time management, and different things of that nature. We get back out here for showmanship. I said it before, I'll say it every time I get a chance to sort. I hate judging showmanship. It's all about personal preference. And when you start talking about kids, I think that all these kids deserve a huge round of applause. So before we go out and shake our champion in reserve, let's give all the kids that are in the ring, the ones in the back, let's give them 1 minute more round of applause for our goat show. We'll go out and find our champion.
Congratulations goes to Paisley Hansen for winning Grand Champion Overall Showman. And Reserve Champion Overall Showman goes to Olivia Kelly, both coming from the junior divisions. We will be taking a short break so the judge can go take pictures by the new beautiful picture wall. And then we will see you back here for the sheep show.